SMS Wittelsbach was the lead ship of the Wittelsbach class of pre-dreadnought battleships of the Kaiserliche Marine.Wittelsbach was built at Wilhelmshaven Navy Dockyard.She was laid down in 1899 and completed in October 1902, at the cost of 22,740,000 marks. Wittelsbach was the first capital ship built under the Navy Law of 1898, brought about by Admiral Alfred von Tirpitz. The ship served in the 1 Squadron of the German fleet for the majority of her career. Wittelsbach was rapidly superseded by new big gun warships, and as a result served for less than 8 years before being decommissioned on the 20th of September 1910. After the start of World War I in August 1914, Wittelsbach was brought back to active duty in the IV Battle Squadron. The ship saw limited duty in the Baltic Sea against Russian forces, though the threat from British submarines forced the ship to withdraw by 1916. The ship then saw service in a number of auxiliary roles, ultimately as a tender for minesweepers after 1919. In July 1921, however, the ship was sold and broken up for scrap metal. Description: Wittelsbach was 126.8 meters long overall and had a beam of 22.8 meters and a draft of 7.95 meters forward. The ship was powered by 3 3-cylinder vertical triple expansion engines that drove 3 screws. Steam was provided by 6 cylindrical and 6 water tube boilers, all coal-fired. Wittelsbach's power plant was rated at 14,000 metric horsepower, which generated a top speed of 18 knots. She had a crew of 30 officers and 650 enlisted men. Wittelsbach's armament consisted of a main battery of 4 24 cm SKL, 40 guns in twin-gun turrets, 1 fore and 1 aft of the central superstructure. Her secondary armament consisted of 18 15 cm SKL, 40 guns and 12 8.8 cm SKL, 30 quick-firing guns. The armament suite was rounded out with 6 45 cm torpedo tubes, all in above-water swivel mounts. Her armored belt was 225 mm thick in the central portion that protected her magazines and machinery spaces, and the deck was 50 mm thick. The main battery turrets had 250 mm of armor plating. Service history: Wittelsbach's keel was laid in 1899, at the Kaiserliche Werft in Wilhelmshaven, under construction number 25. She was ordered under the contract name C as a new unit for the fleet. The vessel was the first battleship built under the direction of State Secretary Admiral Alfred von Tirpitz, according to the terms of the Navy Law of 1898. Wittelsbach was launched on 3 July 1900 and commissioned on 15 October 1902. Upon commissioning in 1902, Wittelsbach was assigned to the 1 Squadron of the active battle fleet. In 1905 the German fleet was reorganized into 2 squadrons of battleships. Wittelsbach was assigned to the I Division of 1 Squadron. The ship was joined by her sisters Wettin and Zähringen. The German fleet consisted of another 3-ship division in the 1 Squadron and 2 3-ship divisions in the 2 Squadron. This was supported by Cruiser Division, composed of 2 armored cruisers and 6 protected cruisers. That year, Captains Jussi Maximilian von Spee, who would go on to command the East Asia Squadron at the outbreak of World War I, took command of the ship. In 1907, the newest Deutschland-class battleships were beginning to enter service. This provided the Navy with enough ships to form 2 full battle squadrons of 8 ships each. The fleet was then renamed the Hochseeflotte. Wittelsbach served in the I Division until the 20th of September 1910. The ship was then decommissioned and placed in reserve. Her crew was then sent to man the newly commissioned dreadnought Posen. World War I. At the start of World War I, Wittelsbach was mobilized as part of the IV Battle Squadron, under the command of Vice Admiral Erhard Schmidt. Starting on the 3rd of September, the 4th Squadron, assisted by the armored crews of Blucher, conducted a sweep into the Baltic. The operation lasted until the 9th of September and failed to bring Russian naval units to battle. In May 1915, Wittelsbach and the rest of 4th Squadron was transferred to support their German army in the Baltic Sea area. Wittelsbach and her sisters were then based in Kiel. On the 6th of May, the 4th Squadron ships were tasked with providing support to the assault on Libau. Wittelsbach and the other ships were stationed off Gotland to intercept any Russian cruisers that might attempt to intervene in the landings. The Russians, however, did not do so. On the 10th of May, after the invasion force had entered Libau, the British submarines HMS E1 and HMS E9 spotted the 4th Squadron, but were too far away to attack them. By 1916, the threat from submarines in the Baltic convinced the German Navy to withdraw the elderly Wittelsbach-class ships from active service. Wittelsbach was initially used as a training ship based in Kiel. The ship was then transferred to Wilhelmshaven for use as a fleet tender. Wittelsbach was converted into a depot ship in 1919 for minesweepers in the newly constituted Reichsmarine. She carried 12 of these shallow draft vessels. The ship served in this capacity for little more than a year. On the 8th of March 1921, Wittelsbach was stricken from the Navy list and sold 4 months later. On the 7th of July, for 3,561,000 marks. The ship was then broken up for scrap in Wilhelmshaven.